On the surface, managing a blocking strategy seems like a relatively simple concept. However, in practice, it becomes very difficult and time-consuming to manage. The more concerned you are with brand safety, and the more conservative you need to be with the content that displays on your site, the more time-consuming it will be. Remember, blocking does have a strong interplay with ad revenue. The more categories and URLs you block, the more you are reducing the number of potential buyers that will be competing for your inventory. Overblocking can lead to significant reductions in revenue, as it may cut off very lucrative advertisers for you. Underblocking, on the other hand, can lead to major problems with brand reputation. And if you are a regulated site, like sites meant for kids as an example, there could be major fines associated with displaying non-brand safe content. Thus, finding the right balance between blocking and revenue is unique to each publisher. In order to maintain this balance, you'll never be able to have a set-it-and-forget-it blocking strategy. You'll end up wanting to build strategies for both continuous or permanent blocking and temporary blocking. You will find that there will be plenty of instances where something surprising gets through a category block, or times where you will want to temporarily block a specific URL. This is much easier to demonstrate with an example. Streaming services like Netflix or Hulu are often a great source of ad revenue. The ads they show will identify with standard entertainment categories, as that is what they are advertising. However, each show has its own subjects and themes, which will not necessarily reveal themselves by the IAB ad category labels. One such example might be a documentary or show about substances or drugs. As a publisher, you might not want to showcase that specific content, but if you permanently blocked Netflix or Hulu as an advertiser, you'd be missing out on important revenue, most of which would come from ads that were perfectly brand safe. This is where strategies around temporary blocking come into play. You'll want a team member who is consistently paying attention to the ads showing on your site to catch if anything is making it past your carefully selected category blocks that you don't want shown. In the example above, you'd want to use a URL block on the streaming website for only the duration of time where they were promoting that specific show or running the campaign you weren't interested in showing. Unfortunately, this isn't something that's easy to automate and often requires human intervention, in addition to technology. So, be prepared either to have a team member in-house who can do this, or to find a partner who is prepared to help and has the resources to manage this for you. Now, let's go through some of the most common questions publishers need to ask themselves when considering which categories to block. Each publisher's blocking strategy will be specific to their unique audience and requirements. We've outlined some of the most common concerns publishers have, and the associated categories they may want to consider blocking should they want to limit certain types of content. However, this list is far from exhaustive. Before we jump in, please know that you don't have to memorize any of this information or write it down. We provide you with a link to an article that outlines all of the categories you may want to consider blocking in the resources section for this module. Let's start with ads that show skin or revealing clothing. Concerns around what kinds of ads show in this group tend to exist on a spectrum from conservative to liberal. What categories you consider blocking will ultimately be defined by where you are comfortable. If you have no concerns about showing skin or revealing clothing, then you don't have to include any of the category blocks discussed in this section. If you have concerns with highly revealing images, you may want to consider blocking all of the categories listed in the article. In this list, you'll find categories that encompass types of apparel ads that might show a lot of skin and common categories that are showcasing human bodies. There is a significant skin exposure category, however, it rarely catches all of the instances you may want to consider, which is why we've provided an extensive list of other categories to think about. If you have concerns with images that might inadvertently show cleavage or another body part without being overly revealing, you may want to even take a look at more conservative blocking strategies. The article outlines a more extensive list of categories to consider if you are in this position. Up next, let's talk about religious or political subjects. Another very common area of blocking includes political or religious content. If you are looking to avoid having any political and/or religious content or ads shown on your site, you may want to consider blocking the categories listed in this section of the article. Next, let's cover adult subjects. Particularly if you are advertising to children, you'll care about removing adult subjects from advertisements. Some categories to consider blocking are included in the adult subjects section of the article for you. Next, let's talk about ads showcasing alcohol, tobacco, or other substances. If you are looking to remove or limit advertisements for substances, you'll want to take a look at the list of categories noted in that section of the article and determine which you'd like to block, depending on your level of comfort. Keep in mind that you will occasionally see CBD or other substances meant to treat illness advertised in healthcare categories, so depending on your level of comfort with those types of ads, you may also want to consider a few more categories, all of which are listed in the article for you. And lastly, there are other categories that publishers commonly want to block that you may want to consider yourself. They include consumer loans, downloadable utilities, and get-rich-quick. These categories just typically have ads that are more often considered misleading or may not be appropriate for certain age groups, and as such are typically not desirable.
Learn more at www.playwire.com. Or, if you're watching on YouTube, click the link below in the description of this video.